the wedding that cost $1 billion. In 1985, Mukesh Ambani married Nita Dalal. The match was arranged, as many still are in, Gujarati families of that generation. Nita had been working as a schoolteacher when Dhirubhai Ambani spotted her dancing at a family event and was taken by what he saw. He introduced her to his son. The rest followed in the expected sequence. Meetings, family, approval, a formal proposal, and a wedding that joined two lives, the trajectory of one of India's most powerful companies. What that union produced over the following 40 years is, by the standards of their net worth, a household of unusual restraint. Mukesh does not drink. The family is strictly vegetarian. There are no tabloid scandals, no affairs in press, no public fractures, no scenes at parties or airports. The discipline that Mukesh applies to his working life appears to extend all the way into the household. Nita has spoken about the foundation of the partnership, calling Mukesh her biggest supporter, the wind beneath her wings, and her greatest source of inspiration, the words of a person describing, without performance, what 4 decades of marriage inside one of the world's most scrutinized families actually feels like. The couple's path to becoming parents was not straightforward. Akash and Isha, twins, were born through IVF after years of waiting and treatment. Their third child, Anant, followed. 3 children who grew up inside a world of security details, private air travel, and a home that is technically a skyscraper. 3 children who watched their parents manage an empire from the inside, who were educated abroad and who have now been formally brought into that empire's governance. All 3, Akash, Isha, and Anant, were inducted onto the board of Reliance Industries in 2023. The transition of the dynasty has begun. The company that Dhirubhai imagined from a 2-room chawl is now being handed to the 3rd generation. Nita leads the philanthropic wing of that empire, the Reliance Foundation, overseeing programs in development, healthcare delivery, education, sports funding, and disaster response. But her philosophy about the next generation is not rooted in legacy management. It is something more personal. For me, it is very important their aspirations are fulfilled in life. That philosophy was on full, unambiguous, global display in the events of 2024. Anant Ambani, the youngest child, the one who grew up most visibly in the public eye, became engaged. What followed has no clean precedent in the recorded history of wedding celebrations anywhere in the world. The pre-wedding festivities were staged in Yamnagar, the same city where Mukesh built the world's largest grassroots refinery 3 decades earlier. The site was transformed into a purpose-built event complex, a glass palace structure, stages engineered for performances on a concert scale, accommodation, and logistics for thousands of international guests. Rihanna performed for a reported fee of between $8 and $9 million. Justin Bieber performed. The Backstreet Boys performed. A cruise was included in the event program. Over 2,000 guests drawn from global business, entertainment, politics, and sport attended across the various events. The July wedding itself extended the spectacle. Total cost estimates for the complete series of celebrations range from $600 million to $1 billion. The backlash was immediate, and it was global. India has hundreds of millions of people living below the poverty line. A $1 billion wedding, staged in a country where rural healthcare infrastructure remains chronically underfunded and public school quality varies enormously by geography, does not play as a private family matter. It plays as a statement about inequality. Critics across Indian media and international commentary frame the events as the most visible possible demonstration of what wealth without ceiling looks like when it meets parental love without restraint. Nita's answer to those critics was precise and unreserved. Whether that framing resolves the tension is a matter where you stand in India's economic spectrum. What is not a matter of opinion is what the wedding communicated, that the Ambani family occupies a position in Indian life so singular that the normal rules of how wealth is displayed simply do not apply to them. That position has a physical address. And in order to understand the full dimensions of what the trillionaire life actually looks like in concrete and steel, we need to take a look at the building where Mukesh Ambani goes home every night. The architecture of absolute wealth at number 4 Altamount Road in the Kumbla Hill neighborhood of South Mumbai. There is a that stops people on the street, not because of what it looks like from a distance, though from a distance it looks like nothing else. In the city, people stop because when they try to categorize it, the categories run out. It is not a tower block. It is not a palace. It is not a commercial building. It is something that exists outside all prior reference points because no reference point existed for it before it was built. Until it was completed in 2010. It stands 27 stories across 400,000 square feet of internal floor space. Its construction cost has been estimated at between $1 and $2 billion, and its current market valuation is understood to exceed that figure by a substantial margin. It is, by any metric used to measure such things, the most expensive private residence ever built. The interior reads like a brief for a small city block, a garage for 168 cars occupying multiple underground levels, a private 50-seat cinema, a ballroom, hanging gardens on several floors, a feat of interior landscaping that requires its own dedicated horticultural staff, a Hindu temple, a full spa and gym complex, 3 helipads stacked on the roof for simultaneous aircraft access, and 1 room, the detail that reappears in every profile ever written about this building, where artificial snow falls from the ceiling on demand in Mumbai, a coastal city that sits at roughly 19 degrees north of the equator and has never, in its recorded history, experienced natural snowfall. The building is engineered to withstand seismic events because at this level of investment, the risk calculus extends to geological ones. It is maintained by a permanent staff of 600 people. From the moment of its completion, until it became the most vivid physical symbol of what the Ambani fortune looks like when it is given material form. It also became a source of sustained public anger in a country defined by some of the world's sharpest income divides, where the distance between the street level below Altamount Road and the penthouse above it represents a gap that no individual life can bridge. A private home on this scale does not simply attract admiration. It attracts a fury that does not subside. Then, in February 2021, the building attracted something else entirely. An SUV was found, abandoned near Antilia's perimeter gate, packed with gel-ignite explosive sticks and accompanied by a threatening letter addressed to the Ambani family. The letter described the vehicle as just a trailer, an explicit, calculated message that whatever the sender intended to do next would be on a different scale. The Ambani family evacuated the building, a security apparatus built over years to protect one of the world's most prominent households, had been circumvented for a period by a single parked vehicle on a public road. The investigation that followed eventually focused on Sachin Vaz, a former Mumbai police encounter specialist who had been controversially reinstated to active service. Vaz was linked to the vehicle. The case then expanded outward in directions that went far beyond a bomb threat, connections to a separate murder investigation, and allegations of political interference running through the upper levels of the Mumbai police command structure. The chain of implication pulled in figures far above the level of a parked car. Bloomberg's subsequent deep investigation described the incident as having exposed structural dysfunction within Mumbai law enforcement that reached well beyond the immediate question of who drove the SUV and why. For the Ambanis, the incident was an unwanted but clarifying reminder that the walls of the world's most expensive private home, the 600-person staff, and the layers of security that surround the family's daily movements cannot make the threat stop. Visibility at this scale generates exposure that no gate or guard detail fully neutralizes. The fleet that surrounds the fortress is proportional to its scale. From a wedding that reportedly cost a fortune to a legacy that shaped one of the world's richest families, Mukesh and Nita Ambani's story is nothing short of extraordinary. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories from the world of extreme wealth.